Alright, y'all. Where do I begin on this? Hope this isn't a long, elaborated video, but, we're going to discuss what, I've been pondering on lately. That is reframing your mind. I've seen a lot of changes, in the last year. Became sober over a year ago. And also I've lost a little over 60 pounds within the last year, and I'm a whole lot more active than I used to be, and I'm doing a lot better, but I still have a long road of recovery to go through. Of course, I really haven't been in the right frame of mind. My thought processes, haven't really, been in sync like they should be. They really never have. And, here at 46 years old, I'm recognizing that, and it's just, it's just time for me to, put my foot down a little bit more and make some more, efforts to my road of recovery, or else, same depression, that's, always occurred is gonna, keep coming back. So it's time to maybe consider maybe reframing my thoughts and being more creative with my logic, and also make sure I stay rational and all that good stuff, because don't want to keep going down the same bad road over and over again, if so to speak. So anyway, have you ever been through life and you've had all these obsessions, maybe one obsession in particular, and you obsess about it so much that it just becomes very habitual, and it just, I don't know if it's for you, but at least for me, it can kind of interfered with my concentration and all that stuff, and it's decreased my motivation on stuff I need to be motivated on, for a better lifestyle. So you just got to think of a way to curb your obsessions. It's just, you gotta ask yourself, is this an obsession I really need? Is this obsession way too out of control? Don't get me wrong, obsessions are okay as long as, they don't get unhealthy. But, of course, for me, throughout my life, they've gotten unhealthy for me. And so you gotta just maybe reconstruct your thought process, so to speak. Just think of ways to, of course I can't, elaborate on, I don't want to elaborate on too much information tonight. I'm just, sort of at the beginning stage. Yeah, so I'm not going to really go into major detail, but I'll just maybe tell you somewhat of the gist. You got to maybe learn to maybe think about that obsession and think about if it's an obsession you really need. And think about whether your obsession is healthy or not. And of course, even if it is healthy, I mean, sometimes it can get too, ingrained in your brain to where, I mean, you just can't concentrate on anything else. Of course, I mean, well, at least that's been the case for me. And so you gotta just maybe be creative with yourself. I mean, maybe talk to a therapist, and if that obsession, is determined to be, something you really don't need to be obsessed about, you gotta maybe distract yourself and, just, I mean, totally set out that obsession and replace it with a much healthier thought. I mean, hence maybe even removing it altogether, or maybe just diminishing the obsession to where it's not controlling your mind, I mean, just, see, I'm just trying to, of course, I'm just trying to, get rid of obsessive thoughts I don't need. And I mean, and maybe just hang on to a few that's, oh, well, that's maybe a bit rational, but keeping them, under control, diminished to the point where it's not interfering with my concentration on, the very important matters out there I need to achieve. Yes. So anyway, I mean, you just, and you also got to learn to be rational in this life. I mean, before you, consider going up to somebody and complaining and bitching, or speaking your mind about something, sometimes you gotta say, wait a minute here. Is the action I'm fixing to partake rational? Yes. You see, you gotta keep yourself rational. And, make sure before you act on your antics, you gotta, just, make sure it's reasonable, and, don't just do it because, you have all this, you have all these, other, unreasonable emotions, playing on your brain that really don't need to, be there, and it enhancing your anger into doing something you shouldn't be doing. Because, I mean, if you're irrational, and you react on that irrationality, I mean, when you're all settled down and you reevaluate yourself, you're going to feel really like you put your foot in your mouth in the long run. And, and if you don't change your frame of thoughts, you're going to think the same irrational thoughts again. And think about, acting on them, and then when you have a low moment, you're gonna regret the shit that you just laid out among your peers, and that's not a good thing. Yeah. So it's important. I mean, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious and all that stuff, and you want to, perform a scene out there, not necessarily a healthy scene, but perform a scene, talk to maybe get you a therapist and, discuss your decision with your therapist first, because when you get down to the nitty gritty, you may find out that's, very irrational of you, so anyway, it's all about being rational. It's all about, curbing your obsessions, making sure your obsessions don't get out of control, and be obtrusive with, your other, daily chores of life and all that. And also, work on your perception too. Let's say, for instance, if you think that, somebody around you or wherever is being unfriendly to you, if you rationalize your thoughts and, kind of put yourself into their shoes, you just may just find out in the long term, they're not intentionally being unfriendly to you. Your perception is just way off. Yeah. It's just, I just gotta put myself, in somebody's other shoes. All I can be is Sammy Reedy. That's all I can be is Sammy Reedy. I do not have the power to be anybody else, and to have anybody else's, somebody else's, brain chemistry, and is knowing exactly their thought perception and other, and other, scenes going on in their brain. It's just, so you gotta just be reasonable and realize that, and, just, it's just, gosh, sometimes I have trouble finding lack of terms here. Of course, I'm just getting used to living life and being in front of an audience on YouTube. Not quite used to being doing introduction to audiences yet, but I'm learning, so bear with me. And so anyway, I've kind of learned the hard way that, well, I've made bad decisions and all that stuff in this life, and, and of course, I'm autistic. I always get, these scenarios, so to speak, playing in my brain. I have images of people's faces and people talking, in my brain, which I'm not, bipolar, schizophrenic. It's all in my head, and, it's just, and, I remember as a child that, I did some things I wish I hadn't have done. And, there was a time or two when I was, cruel to small animals. And in fact, I was cruel to a few moles. Of course, I guess moles are cute, but a lot of people don't like them because they will devastate and burrow on, farmland and da-da-da-da. But, I still feel bad. I was mean to the mole, and poor mole was just miserable and ended up, dying. But, I regret that, and, it's just... And lately, whenever I make certain decisions, I hear the voice. I hear the voice of somebody crying, or I have maybe a hot gal making a face at me, something like this, and of course that's not exactly it, but a similar gesture. But, whenever I've made, bad choices or been way too obsessive, speaking of scenarios playing in my mind, I get a scenario of, somebody crying, some hot gal making this gesture, and also, to add on to the same scene, that poor mole I was tortured when I was a kid, and and then, it kind of dawns on me that, my obsession is too out of control if it's causing me to get this scatterbrain. All these images playing on my head, which is just described, so, I'm having to retrain myself, and retrain myself, to think in the right fashion, and to be rational instead of irrational, and to curb, my obsessions, and get rid of obsessions altogether. Before this video gets too long, let me, kind of depict this. It's just, when something makes me happy, I'll feel like an adrenaline rush. And I'll have an image of another obsession, go hand in hand with, whatever is making me happy at the moment, or whatever made me happy in the past, and I'll get another obsession that I've always had combined to get a big adrenaline rush, to make the adrenaline rush even more, out there. And anyway, but be honest with you, after a while it gets to where I feel really fatigued, and which I feel wore down to a crisp, and it's good adrenaline rush at first, but not so much after I've been lollygagging on it for quite some time. And so anyway, I'm gonna continue to recover, and I'm gonna continue to retrain my thoughts, reconstruct my emotions, and make them reasonable like they should be, instead of totally out of whack, and and just reframe my mind, totally reframe my mind. And maybe in the long run I'll be a lot happier with myself and feel like I'm accomplishing things, and I'll update you all, and in about maybe another month or two, and keep you filled in on my progress, and have a good weekend.